Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting and riveting, amazing Propagandacast from your host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda Heroes like Defender of the Fatherland, your only trusted source of entertainment in this dark and cruel, unforgiving world. Off here to a 1 vs 1 on crossing in the woods between the south. We got Jove fighting here for the Soviet Union, Socialism, Comrade Stalin, and the 5th Mechanized Corps in the north. We got Tiramisu fighting for the Oberkommando West, Germany, Deutschland fighting here for the 13th Panzerdivision with elite armoured, Luftwaffe and breakthrough, triple infantry, no Overwatch, no Jaeger light infantry spam, versus shock rifle, counter-attack tactics, and motor coordination tactics. Triple infantry as well there for Jove. Suddenly heavy emphasis there on shock troopers for Jove, heavily armed, heavily believing in the power of socialism. Special Rifle Command here for Jove with Strafniki on the way. Double photograms there for Tiramisu and the German army. Moving westwards there aggressively, semi-aggressively at least, occurring some battle points as he moves ahead, cautiously watching every corner for any signs of socialism or Marxism. You're sneaking about here in the southeast. Looks like Joe's going to try and push for both points. Might also be to try and set up with Tiramisu. Doing interesting enough, Tiramisu initially seems to have gone west and now is making a swing towards the east. That's an interesting move there by Tiramisu. Might decide he want to try and disrupt Jove's early game. But of course, he's still dispatching one unit westwards as well. I imagine there we go, more Volksgun these versus the Soviets. Kubelwagens tend to be on the rarer side. I mean, he could benefit from another Sturmpioneer squad versus, potentially a scout car, but most likely it's just going to be lots of Volksgun leads and the Raketenwerfer to counter the M3A1 once it begins hitting Tiramisu and making things very uncomfortable for him. Pills was running up there with the SVT-40 semi-automatic rifle, which is a fun note the Germans actually more or less used to base their G43 on, since they couldn't quite get the G41 semi-automatic rifle to sort of function like they wanted to, so they end up more or less copying the SVT-40 for the G43 in terms of mechanics. So, little fun note there. Scout on the way there for Jove, ready in the set out in the west. Volkswagen was engineers here. Might try installing operation against the rations. The question, of course, how long can it last here? Scout car ready. Flamethrowers like going to be upgraded here as soon as Jove has the missions for it. And Tiramisu there's laying down mines, anticipating a scout car. He's hoping he can early game catch with the mines, and of course he can do that. That's huge here for Tiramisu. Massive, of course, if does not get spotted here by Jove, and well, we can't quite tell if Jove can see that, but it's certainly not impossible. Then again, he might just not be paying attention. That's also possible. We'll have to see here what it ends up with between Jove and Tiramisu. Like heading from the way that's up counted. Of course, Tiramisu's not so silly, he's just going to hope that one mine does the trick. I mean, it'd be amazing if it did for Tiramisu, but obviously that's being what you call awfully optimistic. And the sort of person you might want to ask if you want to buy a bridge. Engineers still routed here by the Fultons in the west, grab the fuel point there. Bit of back and forth here so far. We got more Pumas there for Jove and the 5th Mechanized Corps. As Tiramisu and the 13th Panzerdivision continues the attack here as the rations. Flamethrowers there on the way. Troops falling back a bit. Noting, of course, now the players really seized any of the fuel points so far, which is actually kind of rare that, within the first 3 minutes now, a fuel point is only here around closing in on 4 minutes that one player actually gets a fuel point. Definitely not your average opening here, but still makes it interesting. More mines up here from Tiramisu, is obviously just trying to hope to catch his opponent's scout car here, and otherwise just make things miserable for Jove's infantry, which is always a good thing to do. Flanking about here, and scout car setting out there, going to move in here. He's not moving in there. He might, of course, have seen the mines, expecting mines. He's going to take the other path, or he just figures, want to attack from another angle. I mean, there's a few possibilities here. Charging force to the Puma troopers route here. Though they did focus on the Sturmpioneers. Very good prioritization there by Jove here. Raketenwerfer lands a nice hit, and he's too slow to retreat. He's too slow. That Raketenwerfer's going to get another hit, I think. Oh, no, it did not. The scout car dodged that one. That was really close there for Jove. That could have been an M3-1 down, and that would have been very nice there for Tiramisu. We're just going for the track there. We'll have to see if it's going to be the Belgium headquarters or the Mechanized Regiment. Either way, though, Tiramisu is actually not gaining a massive fuel lead here with Jove due to the fact that Jove's got enough terrain elsewhere that it's no far not being hurt comparatively to Tiramisu. While he has a fuel point, does not have a lot of other terrain, but he's slightly gaining ahead now here. Slightly, and he's losing his fuel point. More penalty was there for Jove, the Strafniki. one thing worth noting about penal troops is that they generally be equipped differently depending on what their mission was. Some were poorly equipped, but that's when they're not really meant to do anything like really combat worthy, but in most cases they're actually equipped better than the average infantrymen because they're expected to just assault positions and clear them out no matter the cost, so they were usually also equipped well enough to do that. That's actually a little fun fact there about the penal troopers in terms of just equipment. Again, now something like, why did they get access to all these cool weapons? Well, I mean, they were basically assault troops. They're expendable, but you know, if you really want them to succeed, nonetheless, you get them some good weapons. So I imagine that's sort of the logic there. So, little fun side note. Okay, nothing about him, more folks coming out there for Tiramisu. Engineers sneaking about, they got mines on there from Jove as well. Both players, of course, clear, keen miners. People from the west was there with their SVT-40s. Engineers routed here, folks with jump pioneers running in. Which the engineers, they're being wiped out if Jove is a bit unfortunate, just not quick enough to retreat. Marmudov killing Solar Cannon for crews there. I mean, Tiramisu was quick to just use it to grab stuff instead of just standing about doing nothing. That is really good. Some players tend to have just units standing about doing nothing when they could be doing anything really, so that's a really good tactical move there by Tiramisu. Big push just strong force with infantry. Jove's forces at this stage too scattered to deal with this, so he just ends up retreating. I mean, without a machine or anything else, just a strong defensive line. I mean, Tiramisu can just more or less almost snowball through the entire map, but he obviously wants to keep his territory as well, so he kind of has to split off elements of this infantry ball. And you see Joe's trying to take advantage by moving about, harassing further, drawing Tiramisu away from frontline territories and towards Tiramisu's own rear lines. So, nice play there by Joe, nice play. Down here, healing reinforcement could take up soon. A few assault rifles here for Tiramisu would be nice. He's going for the mechanized red and he wants to try and take advantage of any potential field lead he might have had. Minesweeper was up for Jove, and we got the tank command going up in his base. Steel Pioneers close to being taken out by the penal troopers. Also, an additional fun fact about the SVT-40 semi-automatic rifle. Here's this sort of thing's going to quieten down once Petra either escapes or dies, but it was actually the intent that the entire Red Army infantry was supposed to be equipped with SVT-40 semi-automatic rifles. In this regard, so doctrine there got wiped was a bit like American doctrine, which sort of in terms of how they viewed how the infantrymen was fights put emphasis on the rifle. German and British infantry doctrine on the hand actually put emphasis on light machine guns. Of course, the difference is the Russians did not have the industry to actually produce all of these semi-automatics, so the vast majority of Russian infantry had to make do with the Mosin-Nagant. But it's a little sort of, you know, fun note there talking about doctrine because it tends not to get talked about a lot. And you've heard of for Tiramisu to deal with some of Joe's infantry. I mean, obviously he suffered losses, but Joe has plenty of opportunity for some sort of elite infantry, either shock troopers or guardsmen. I mean, at this current stage, I suspect guardsmen to be more likely. I mean, guards riflemen with deep light machine guns can really give Tiramisu their hard time. In particular, guardsmen are usually a pretty good counter to the full scale list. Arguably, so could shock troopers, so we'll have to see. But with the looks potentially in the way, I'm suspecting more guardsmen since the anti-tank mob is going to be helpful there for Joe in countering the looks, or at least slowing it down a bit. Skirmishing in the west, mines being laid down there in the place where Tiramisu positioned his. Very good move there, by the way. There's a set of blind spots in terms of how people perceive the battlefield, and one is they tend not to expect you, laying down mines where they laid down mines as well. Of course, another one is if they hit a mine, they won't expect you to lay down another mine in the same spot. Funny how that works. It's a little fun note there, as well in terms of psychology. Tiramisu there though with the looks of Panzer. Back and forth here between these two experienced and aggressive players. Folks there flanking up behind here, but are not quite finding the easy gains they want to. Both players probably now pushing for light tanks. Looks of course for Tiramisu, T7 light tank for Jove. MG34 here suppressing Jove, making it easier to push forward. Jump flanking in here behind the Strafniki forcing them away. In the west, a bit of skirmishing here. We got the Volksman head against penal troopers out in the open. The Volksman they can get a bit of cover. They should have a decent chance. T70 almost done. So that's the looks, of course. Tiramisu though has a larger force here than Joe. More importantly, he's got light support weapons, whereas Joe only has the penal troopers at the moment. So in this regard, Tiramisu does have a slight edge here over Jove at the moment. He's also been able to control the fuel flow better here than Jove, so there's some other edges there. Of course, the T7 though is a pretty strong light tank, so I imagine Jove should still be able to deal some really good damage with it, unless he does something really silly. And moving ahead here, rather aggressive. The Kedma on one side, looks on the other. Direct hit here by the Kedma from the T-7 light tank. And in fact, he's not going to try and pursue it and take it out. If we got Pins coming up in the way here, might try and threaten with the idea he's upgrading with anti-tank rifles, then can suddenly pop them out and then get the anti-tank sightage off. Does not work, but still, he's very close here to losing the T-7 into looks here. We got anti-tank rifles on the way here, and looks like to the middle of the sides, he's not going to push his luck anymore. That's actually a really good idea there, because those were actually getting anti-tank rifles. So rather aggressive and bloody engagement between the two light tanks early on. Neither side will destroy the other. So a bit inconclusive, and there we go. Jove does end up here, the guards rifling in response to the light vehicle approach, and of course just lots of full grenadiers, in which case guards with DP light machine guns are just really good. Well, I'm sure some of my viewers would have preferred seeing some shock troopers out, but with the looks about there and all the full grenadiers, guardsmen are just really good. Troops healing and enforcing, and in that regard I imagine Guard Motors are one of the best doctrines about for the Soviets. Generally always has been. Which of course just makes it more amazing it's one of the starter doctrines. But it's basically one of those doctrines that is very hard to beat, has good elite infantry, has heavy mortar support, or big tank to call in, self-repair, marked vehicle. It's a very flexible, very solid doctrine really. Troops moving up here. Kenworth backing it up, infantry as well covering up. Of course we've got Jove's infantry laying down heavy fire against the fascists, the Hitlerite scum. In these T-7 up here with penal trooper support, but the penal troopers are themselves suppressed by the MU-34. On the other hand, Tiramisu did leave that machine gun very exposed, and Jove aggressively routes it with the T-7 light tank, landing in some very nice strong hits. Sending that entire machine gun crew tumbling back towards the fatherland. There you go, Raketenhoff back in action. We've got two Raketenhoffs up for Tiramisu. Begs the question what he's planning, because it's not a command Panther stall. He does not have access to that. Of course, it might just help us the T-70, figuring one is just not enough. Looks they're being blasted out. We got grenade off here on the Pimps with moving ahead. He looks falling back. And we got like Kevin continues to support here in the east. Guardsmen there taking heavy damage from the Fulskiners and the Looks. Quick grenade off on the Fulskiners. Oh, that's going to be wiped here. Consider miss. That's going to be a nice little win here for Jove. Veterans who won 5 kills on those guards are riflemen. Worth noting that guards riflemen are usually veterans of many engagements. That way we receive the title as guardsmen in a sort of as a good job going there. They would usually then receive higher and better equipment. It will also used to be prioritized for replacement faster. Apparently sometimes it wasn't quite the case, but sort of as a rule of thumb, they were usually allotted better equipment and overall just faster replacements. That was usually how it worked for most elite units, by the way. They usually would fast track internal replacements in terms of infantry or equipment. It's a little fun note there. Mines down here. Guardsmen setting out. Mines down. And we got the truck on the way there for Tiramisu. That's going to be the Schwer Panzer quarters. We got Luftwaffe Ground Forces. So not something we've seen a lot lately with the oversupply of Jaegers. So it's nice to see some Fallschirmjägers, I hope. Folks are advancing here on the Strafnicker positions up north. 4 kills, veterans 1 gained. A kid enough machine gun support moving ahead here. And we got the S-6 here for Jove, which is a fun fact, was based on the T-70 chassis, though with a few extra road wheels to manage it. Looks flanking up behind the penal troopers, then nice move by Tiramisu, quickly forcing a route here on the penal troopers. He's going to set the Schwer Panzer course to cover the victory point and the fuel point here. He needs to lose in the west one. There you go. There's a good chance I would say a wipe here against the penal troopers. Sturmplan needs forcing, of course, the Loops are laying down heavy fire, but there you go. T-70 gets in the way. We also got a mine here, which could almost got him into there. So in this regard, Joe's able to save his penal troopers here with a fast intervention from the T-70 light tank. H6M almost done here for Jove. The Mbawe standing for modernised. And referred to some improved engine work, basically going from 2 engines, 1 for each track, to 1 engine, since they lost a lot of assault guns to that one actually, plus an open compartment, so there's more room for the crew and overall more comfortable. Quick barrage here against the Fulskiners. First shot flies a bit above. Second shot almost got them actually there. And these T-70 moving about here, fortunately taking damage. We've got more assault rifles on the way than Tiramisu. Still no sign of anything of the doctrine, but they can always come. Ooh, close one on the Fultz Grenadiers. It's time then, absolutely beautifully. They're taking out almost the entire unit. Okay, not trying to flank up here. In fact, both are going straight for Division 6, landing several hits. They're almost knocking out the assault gun there. Sturmpioniers being forged for T2. Very nice there for Tiramisu. Less nice for Jove's penal troopers. So there you go. Dug in with the Schwer Pantry quarters carrying the fuel point and the victory point. Also noting Tiramisu has a lead here over Jove. And the Red Army and going for Obersoldaten. So a bit funny he went for Luftwaffe Ground Forces if he's not going for Fallschirmjägers. I mean, there's obviously a lot of other good things about the doctrine. Valiant Assault obviously is a pretty good overlooked ability. Airborne Assault is pretty nice. And of course, there's even the heavy fortification theoretically. But it is funny to see someone going for Luftwaffe Ground Forces and then not bother with the Fallschirmjägers. I mean, they are pretty good. They do require a bit more extra management since they are a bit more squishy in some senses, but they do pack a lot more firepower. In fact, at the high levels of veterans, they can absolutely ruin enemy infantry. Since they are one of the few Oberkommanderist infantry units that keep getting offensive bonuses, since most of them pretty much got only a few. Heavy mortar out here for Jove to bombard and blast Tiramisu's positions. Very good there. T-70 spotting ahead. He probably has seen this and wants to silence it. Well, obviously, if Tiramisu can get out a tank first, or what he will do in response to this. Looks being fixed up. Repair pioneers up there. Very nice choice here by Tiramisu. 300 points left here for Jove and the 5th Mechanized Corps. Obersoldaten aiming forwards for the 13th Panzer Division. There you go. Mission 6M ready to fight again. And he's giving that Schwer Panzer quarters everything he's got. The rest looks moving up quickly and buttoning up. People moving ahead. Buttoning by being one of the few abilities you can actually use from inside a building, by the way. Always found that a bit interesting. Interesting enough, he's not trying to grenade here. We figured he'd do that, but there you go. Garsman routed. Huge blob of assault rifles here from Tiramisu. Pouring into the west. Threatening Jove's territories there. Machine gun getting blasted. Schwer Panzer quarters so far. Not taking a lot of damage here though from Jove's little march. In the west, T-70 sweeping in here to stop the assault from Tiramisu and pretty much promptly forcing the infantry to fall back here. That makes you two T's in the bars really nasty. There you go. Double Kednov's opening up and we could see a small chance of it being taken out. And no, gets away again. Goes Kednov sending out starting to get those landing finishing hits in Jove's vehicles. Mechanized armor company out for Jove. That's not going to be the T-45. That's going to force Tiramisu to go for the Panther because the Panzer IV definitely is going to struggle versus the T-45s. Since the T-485s have more health than the Panzer IV, meaning they can overall, on average, absorb a lot more hits. Meaning in terms of the slug-out fight, it's going to be the T-34 that usually wins. Also on the way there with the light machine guns. Still no sign of the Fallschirmjäger here for Tiramisu. Bit of a shame. Got mines down there for Joe. Got the Mission 6 creeping up on the right flank. Artillery fire running down here on the Schwer Panzer quarters.
Enemy forces are neutralizing a sector.
Follows the routing the engineers, grabbing the fuel point here. I mean, at this stage, obviously, Tiramisu should have a good idea that Jove's going for Guards Motor, which means T-45s, but the question is, does he then fully react to this, or does he just go for the Panther IV as soon as he can? I mean, it's down to half health, so the argument could be, he can't actually afford to stall. Cameron spotted here by the T-70, still going to try and take it out. And there you go, Ken was routed, not a good push here. He could actually attack them, heavy mortar with the Fultz gun to his head on. And he does end up with the Panther IV here. I suspect in this case more out of necessity than anything else. Because, I mean, if he stalls for the Panther, but the Schwer Panzer quarters gets knocked out, it's obviously going to be absolutely useless for Tiramisu anyway. So, I mean, getting out a Panther IV at least is better than having no tank out whatsoever. And I'm guessing that's basically the course here. Interesting enough, he's not been trying very hard though to silence the heavy mortar, which, you know, would be an idea. still, Jove is some time off from the T-35, so there's a chance that the Panzer IV can be used to swing the game around with, and it's sure that, you know, the T-35 might not be the biggest threat here anyways, but there you go. Jove's applying more pressure, he's moving the assault gun as well, trying to finish off before Tiramisu gets out any armor. Certainly, I think they're punishing Tiramisu for placing an outside exposed. Might be, he should be able to get it out there, but it's going to be a close one. It's going to be a close one, and he gets out the tank right before it gets blown apart. And in fact, knocks out the F-6 as a mortar round implodes, cooking off the munitions. Really close one there for Tiramisu, and obviously, he made the right choice. But arguably, the other choice would have been not placing it so far ahead and placing it safer behind it and then stalling for a Panther, but there you go. But now he's got the Panzer IV out, and Jove has got nothing to really stop it. I mean, he's got a few Garden anti-tank rifles, and that's it. He is committing some anti-tank rifles to his penal troopers here. But until then, he is rather at the mercy of Tiramisu and the 13th Panzer Division. Once they're flying up, he's basically taking advantage of the shock effect of the tanks to follow up with infantry and Raketenwerfers. Going really hard here, and Jove, very nice play there. Penals are being routed across the entire front here by Tiramisu's ruthless and relentless assault. Very nice play there. We got a T-34-6 with Jove here, so in the end, the Panther IV forces Jove's hand, denying him the potential possibility of stalling for the T-35 and actually force the regular T-34-6 out here, since otherwise he risks getting absolutely steamrolled by Tiramisu. So, in that sense, aggression can also be the right choice in this case due to the fuel control. It did work out for Tiramisu. Had he not been able to successfully, stole the fuel flow here for Jove, that could have been a bit more risky. But in the end, it's paying off here. Got the looks, but still, Jove is taking heavy damage here from Tiramisu. Men are dropping left and right, and these the Sturmpanzer is being routed. Heavy mortar continues to be a bit of a thorn in the side of Tiramisu. Side, not sign. Panzer IV there with 4 kills. T-34-6 almost done. More anti-tank rifles up here for Jove. And the 5th Mechanized Corps. Trot on the way there for Tiramisu. Could be Battle Headquarters, and then going to go for the King Tiger. In some ways a risky strategy, but the thing is, once you lose the Schwerpanzer Quarters, in most cases, going for that and then another tank is roughly the same price as going for a King Tiger. So, if you then want to stall for a King Tiger, it's, I mean, in terms of economy, it's roughly the same. It's just rebuilding and going for another tank. So I can't fault Tiramisu in this case for going for it, since they're roughly equal choices in a sense. Almost got the T-34-6 there, but luck once more held the hand of Jove and gave him a nice little squeeze there to let him know things were going to be alright. Panther IV turning on to deal with the Penal Troopers, at least for now. Nice hit there. In the west, we've got full, there's the Strafniki. The Kedner's crewing about, Futz's always on there. Nope, well, he's not grabbed that MG-34. In fact, no one has. But there you go. Tiramisu realizes he does need that machine gun and recruits it to hold back the Marxist assault. Panther IV would benefit a lot from machine gun to help versus the infantry. Noting that Jove's T-70 has gained the ace level. Great there for Jove. Bit terrible for Tiramisu. Noting by the way, of course, can salvage this and this for extra fuel. Honestly, not something a lot of Oberkommanders players I think do nowadays, but still, every little bit of extra fuel can do a lot. And we do have the Battle Group Headquarters, so I suspect Tiramisu's plan is now the Königstiger, the Tiger 2. Also fun in this sense, when we say King Tiger is actually misinterpretation of what Königstiger actually means, it's actually a reference to the Bengal Tiger, which they call, I believe, the Königstiger, some other tiger basically. It's not necessarily just King Tiger, it's, you know, Bengal Tiger. But, you know, King Tiger does sound a bit nicer. I mean, I'm not going to deny that, but, you know, it's just a little fun note there. Kedmer was something about. Mines up T-70 ground territory, nice usability there by Jove. Always, you know, one thing you can sort of note a good play on, it's how much they actually use the abilities. You know, even stuff like this, you know, it tends to be something most, I only think higher ranked players and more specifically the skilled ones actually make use of. So, nice play there by Jove. Mines down here as well. Very good play. Very thorough and consistent. Lots of mines, in fact. That's going to make things much more difficult. And Tiramisu's going to have to go for minesweepers. And you've had 4 caught in a bad spot by the penal troopers. Panther IV finally getting its penal mark machine gun here to deal with the Russian armor. In this regard, by the way, most Russian tanks did not have penal mark machine guns. Most, in fact, only really some heavy tanks later in the war got that. It was only Cold War that sort of the regular tanks got pinning up machine guns as well. Little fun side note. There you go, T-54 going for the Panther Force. Shot bounces off the Panther Force frontal armour. Artillery fire there almost lands on the Panther Force in the centre. We got a bit of a skirmish here. And the east, Jove seizes what he can for the Red Army. T-7 is zipping about. Storm Pioneers there are taking heavy fire there from Jove's heavy mortar. A very unpleasant artillery piece. Even though not the most accurate, it can actually put some pressure on your opponent psychologically and maybe cause them to make a few mistakes. Tiramisu still got ways to go before calling the King Tiger, which could then give Jove the time to just flood the field with T-34s, taking out the Panther 4 and then isolating the King Tiger. Tiramisu might want to consider mines, and you know, Fallschirmjägers would not be a bad choice. I mean, if you can sort of leverage anything versus Jove, it wouldn't be a half bad idea to consider it at least. Panther 4 catching the Strafniki out in the open, gunning them down in cold blood. There you go, Petrov and Vasily exploded. Galton covering up here, hitting the dirt very swiftly, very nice there. It does not give them any defensive bonus, by the way. Some people seem to think that. That's the conscript version. This one gives them a bit more range, just so they can all fight the same target more easily, and always increases that. I think it's either the accuracy or the cooldown on the weapons, but basically just makes them do more damage. So, well timed to hit the dirt for the Guardsmen can be quite potent, particularly in breaking up infantry attacks, or even supporting an attack of your own. Panther 4 receiving repairs here. Back here, healing reinforcement for Tiramisu. Back in Joe's base, things remain silent. T-34 some sort of about. We got the T-7 ring about here as well. Bit quiet here. Tiramisu lining up for another assault. Joe's trying to get up as much as possible, of course, at the same time, maybe trying to size up where Tiramisu's striking next, though. The roar of the tank's engine in the east should probably give it Joe an idea where it's coming from. As it's definitely not the ice cream wagon. Anyways, T-4 moving about here. Nice in the penal triple seat. T-4 about to hit better than 2, so is the Panther 4, though. Okay, maybe an ambush as well. He's pretty much expecting Tiramisu to act with tank, or Joe to act with tanks to the arrival of his Panther 4. So he's trying to set up an anti-tank ambush for the Kedma efforts. Not a bad idea here though. But in this case, Joe plays it wisely and does not engage in any too grand aggression against the Panther 4, trying to stay at range and possibly stay out of range of the Kedma efforts. So nice response there by Joe and nice foresight. But there you go, Kevin nonetheless opening up here in the T-34, but once more the Kedma efforts never quite seem able to finish things off. Tiramisu, though, is getting closer to the King Tiger, but fuel-wise, it is still not quite going his way. Jove can soon go for the T-45. Tiramisu's got plenty of manpower, and so as things are going, I mean, he might as well just call in a fight to make a squad for some extra elite infantry versus Jove and his merry band of socialists. Panther moving against the penal troopers here. Forces moving in here. Got lots of assault rifles up. Sturm Pioneer closing the Metronary 4. That's going to be very good for them. Less good for Joe. And there you go. One hand grenade off. Pins there popped out. Quickly popping up behind him before hitting retreat. Very good. And on T-34 is on the way for Jove. Hits a mine. They almost gets the entire force to walk out. Small chance of getting the penal troopers, but since it does not pursue enough, I think they should have a good chance of surviving that one. Still grabbing a fuel point here. Heavy mortar fire raining down upon Tiramisu's positions. 13th Panzer Division that continues to fight for the fatherland here. T-Fed 6 creeping up eastwards. Folks are standing about. Panther 4 is good to go here for Tiramisu once more. And there you go. T-Fed striking out. The folks are getting killed there. And there you go. The Kevins land the ambush. Panther 4 moving in. This time though, the T-34 goes down. There you go. Joe's tank blown apart. Of course, he now has the slightly improved version, the T-45, with a bigger turret, with a bigger gun in it. Which I think was sort of largely it. Also worth noting about the T-45's turret, it had no turret basket, so in that sense the crew had to stand up while operating the tank turret, so that can make things a bit awkward for the crew. Folks are setting out here, troop reinforcing. And there you go. Finally actually salvaging stuff. It seems like Tiramisu goes, ah yeah, I could do that. But better late than never, as long as the recklesses are still there, and there'll still be Mission 6. You could salvage for a bit of extra fuel. But Tiramisu is very much on the King Tiger plan. I mean, it's not even at this stage calling in Fallschirmjäger, you could use them maybe for a bit of extra pressure here versus Jove. And maybe help fight for the fuel points a bit better. Panther Blitzking, he wants that T-70, of course. Blitzkrieg for the Oberkommando Vest has the additional bonus and actually gives them a slight boost to the rate of fire. Making them shoot a bit faster. On damage, and holy smokes, that was one hell of a hit. They're almost taking out the entire penal trooper squad. That was pretty great there for Tiramisu. And the penals are being absolutely obliterated. Back here, reinforcement going on for Tiramisu. AFI then the Guardsman. Panther forward closing in and veteran defeat. There we go, we've got assist 3 there, hidden behind the tree line, opening up the Panther 4, buttoning up here as well, trying to combine as much damage. T-35 they're also going in, but it might just be a bit too late here in this case for Jove to fully spring that trap. He might have made it a bit too elaborate. Poor Jürgen there, blasting with the T-35. Tries to avenge him with the Panzerfaust, but sadly, in-game, the Panzerfaust isn't quite as potent as it was in the actual war, where he could usually take out a tank with a single hit. Well, you did have to get really close with it in some cases. Folks with the Orbis on there holding forwards, close to the Veteran 5, then the ace level on one of the Folks with squads. Worth noting that Tiramisu has yet to get a single ace level squad here. Compared to the Jove has numerous. In fact, his heavy mortar there is actually approaching as well. Still, Tiramisu is super close to the King Tiger. He's almost got it there. Despite fuel disruption and everything else, he's almost there. But Jove has done a really great job. They control the map and the fuel flow, ensuring that Tiramisu couldn't get out that King Tiger as fast as he wanted to. Actually, feel like getting the Guardsman holding up. Or penal troops actually holding up. Orbis on there taking a hit from the heavy mortar. Panther moving in there. Oh, there we go, we got the veteran fleet increased mobility and a rate of fire, which of course makes combat blitz even better. So of course I can fire even faster and move even faster. Point there being seized. I do think you get away with a Fallschirmjäger squad to back things up. Before, just completely stalling for the King Tiger here. That's just me. I mean, the thing is, he's gone for Luftwaffe Ground Forces, but so far I don't think he's actually made a single ability use from the doctrine. Comparatively, Jove has, I think he's used everything but Mark Vehicle. And we might not make use of, oh, there you go, he's using self-repair. So, when that guy, there's also, sort of a thing there to worth noting, which is another way, to an extent, I grade players. It's, how much do they actually make use of the abilities? Because usually, again, if you sort of make use of your doctrine abilities a lot, they again also indication you've got built more of a planning. Because again, so far with Tiramisu, we have yet to see a single ability being utilized from the doctrines, for example. That's also a key element. And of course, just because you all use all abilities doesn't mean you're a god, but usually amongst the higher ranked players, they do tend to that way, sort of slight notice, do the acting first place even use them. But there you go, King Tiger calling in the Fallschirmjäger squad. I imagine in this case Tiramisu was a bit worried they'd be calling the Fallschirmjägers, he might not have enough pop cap to then call in the King Tiger. But in this case he does it as soon as he then has the King Tiger, he calls on the Fallschirmjägers, making a small Luftwaffe airdrop operation, issued 5 for Jove. Fallschirmjägers landing in here pretty aggressively against Tiramisu. And right in front of the Ace T-70, unsurprisingly, does not end well for the Fallschirmjägers. So King Tiger moving around here, Panther 4, could move to try and fight here in the west, I guess. And King Tiger straight into a mine, the lack of minesweepers, or at least minesweepers to back up as King Tiger is proving to be a bit detrimental there for Tiramisu. Troops getting blasted by the heavy mortars. King Tiger needing to fall back for repairs. This mortar crew taking up, Panther will sit for the T-45 direct hit here, by the T-85 on the Panther, they should follow the there for Jove. They're finding the Orbis done dealing with the penal troopers with no bigger problems. Sturmpine for some reason on the west rather than towards the King Tiger to quickly fix it. This is probably Tiramisu, which he's actually gone for elite armoured instead, so at least that way just pop the self-repair ability. There being Annihilated here by the Panther 4, taking heavy hits here from the Sis 3 field gun. There go wiped. Panther 4 down to less than half health here. Field gun lands another excellent hit there. Now Tiramisu has 2 tanks in dire repairs. Needs to get those penal troop or Sturm Pioneers to work on the King Tiger. Let the Mechanized Repair Regiment fix the Mechanized Regiment headquarters fix up the Panzer 4. So right now ground has been lost here for Tiramisu, as without the tanks really hold it up. Jove is just advancing now aggressively. He's got the armored edge on the field. And he uses the machine gun, though the King Tiger is landing some absolutely punishing hits there with its 88mm gun. He focuses on the Panzer 4, ensuring that King Tiger's going to take ages to get back there. Mark vehicle as well here. You can see Jove is absolutely tempting on the King Tiger. There you go, penetrating hit, people coming forward so he doesn't get the gun to lose them. If he can just get off and into tank satchel with Mark vehicle, the King Tiger's going to take an hell of a beating. There you go. Down to less than half health. Penal troopers went down, but they gladly gave them lives for the motherland, I imagine here. Almost got that King Tiger without it doing anything in the end, because he just let it haul its ass all the way back to base rather than prioritizing fixing its engine. And for this, Tiramisu was brutally punished by Jove, like a schoolmaster punishing the lazy student. Mentioning for the game for the Panther 4, increasing action and a few other things. Going for that issued fire, trying to gain vengeance, but Tiramisu's situation right now is looking a bit deplorable. Losing the King Tiger, that has completely gutted his late game, though he still has a larger force here than Jove, so he might still have a chance, arguably. And he still has a lot of infantry. But the loss of that King Tiger could possibly have a psychological effect on Tiramisu, causing him to tilt. Oh, he blitzes straight into mine. Oh no. And now we got the Chief at 5 taking advantage of this, going for the heavily damaged Panzer 4. The Kevin setting up. Tiramisu is being absolutely battered here by Jove. Almost got the Chief at 5, but more importantly, the Panzer 4 is down. And with this, Tiramisu's spirit is broken. He still had in some ways a larger force in terms of infantry, but I think that the psychological loss of 2 tanks broke Tiramisu's poor heart. An interesting fight here with some good play with both sides. In the end, I would say Jove in many ways just played better. Better used the doctrine. He used everything from the doctrine. He made overall use of abilities overall. Reconnaissance, grabbing points. There was better mining. He also, I think, just better movement comparatively, while Tiramisu had the edge early on. He was not really able to translate into something serious in terms of the mid and late game. And tactically, sort of more and more mistakes kept creeping in there, allowing Jove to overall just gain supremacy by the late game, and that King Tiger move was a bit silly. He should just rush the Sturm Pioneers towards it to fix the engine. It would not have taken long, but ended up taking ages just to get it back there. By that time, Jove just hunted down and destroyed it, so that was definitely some room there for improvement by Tiramisu. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment on it, tell your friends, tell your family, but don't tell your enemies. This is Imperial Dancing. Cheers. Thank you for watching. You all have a wonderful audience. Hope to see you all tomorrow again for another episode. Bye.